We have Michael Landsberg. We're going to bring him in on video chat right now, who we've got news for everybody. It is Michael Landsberg's birthday today. He's making his Rod Pedersen Show debut. Can you bring him up, Clark? Do we have him? Can we see him? There he is, Michael Landsberg. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Well, thanks for having me. And do you do this all the time, the video chat? Very cool.
We do at least 2 per day, Michael. We had your compadre Darren Dreger on last week, and CFL-wide guest, NHL-wide guest. It's going very nicely. Thank you for noticing.
I think that's awesome. I'm just trying to position myself so I'm just in the exact right position. I don't want to let you down, Rod. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So do you have a thing you don't work on your birthday? I understand you had the morning off today.
I actually took the week off, and it had nothing to do with my birthday. It was just because, you know, at a certain point, I always find it weird when people who are adults make a big deal out of their birthday.
Me too.
I always think to myself, like I don't know, like some people, like it's just a huge deal. And so it just happened that I had the week off and you asked me to come on. And so now it's like, today's the greatest day ever. It's my birthday. I'm not working today and I'm on the Rod Pedersen.
Michael, I appreciate that. And let me ask you this. You're working with Carlo Colaiacovo there. I don't know if it's every day or not, but it's a lot. How are you liking the morning radio grind? Because I did it for years and years and years, and I got lines in my face that are never coming out. That's a grind, man, doing that morning radio.
Well, the fact is I'm actually only 35, so you can see that I'm told. To be honest, I'll be more honest with you than you would have anticipated me being with you. So I've done morning radio since OTR went off the air, so that's 3 years. And the first 2 years, I can tell you that I thought it was okay. I didn't love it. And then Carlo joined the show almost exactly a year ago. So it was sort of official in September. And I had more fun this past year than any year that I've been in broadcasting in a long time. And I think I officially became used to the hours where, you know, I just realized one day, I thought, you know what? I'm not hating everything about this anymore. When I'm talking about this, I'm talking about the hours, the lifestyle, you know, just how it can really take over your life. And it's bad when your hours dominate your life. But now I've kind of totally moved past that. And working with Carlo has been absolutely rejuvenating for me because I'm not a real believer in guys who didn't play the game working together to talk about it. Because, like, you know, I don't know, did you play any professional sport?
Me, no.
So if you and I were working together, I would be thinking in my own head, you know, who gives a crap what these two guys say? You know, so, I mean, sometimes when I'm talking, I don't give a crap what I say. So why would anyone else? But that whole dynamic changed when Carlo joined the show. So here you have a guy who is an ex-Toronto Maple Leaf, played 14 years in the NHL. He's a bigger sports fan for, say, NFL, NBA, than he is even of the NHL. So he was this perfect guy. And now all of a sudden, I get to challenge him on what he thinks. I get to draw from him the ideas that you really want about having played professional sports. Obviously, when it's hockey, he's talking about guys that he played against, but any sport, it works great.
Janelle, one of the beautiful things about the way we're doing this is our Facebook viewers can chime in throughout the interview. So Janelle is watching from Saskatoon. She says, so thankful for people like Michael. He's changing the world and giving people like me with mental illness support, encouragement, and a voice. And obviously, I follow you on Twitter. You're very outspoken on the mental health thing. So you can talk about that. And B, how about Mike Riley? You must have noticed he came out 2 weeks ago, the BC Lions quarterback, and talked about his struggles. And a difference is being made, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think there's something incredibly powerful about someone like Mike Riley coming out and sharing. I think that, you know, where was I tweeted this morning. I think it was this morning because, you know, I tweet about this if you follow me on Twitter, which I know you do. I tweet about this all the time. I try to do it every single day, sometimes 10 times in a day, sometimes only once a day. But I do a video blog every single day. I mean, every single day. My daughter shoots it and we post it. And the reason why I do it with that kind of consistency is that I believe it's really powerful for somebody like Janelle to know that every day, every second, there's someone that understands her. And I think the struggle of having a mental health challenge, feeling that you're not understood, that you're the only one that's ever felt this. And then when a guy like Mike Riley comes out and speaks about it, all of a sudden you think to yourself, wow, Mike Riley, really? Wow. I guess I'm not all alone. I guess maybe I'm not hopeless because he's starting at quarterback. So I think it's a huge thing.
You guys got something for Michael?
Yeah, that's big. Jesse on the Facebook feed was asking, talking about how cool OTR was, and that kind of changed TSN. I wanted to know who your most memorable guest was. So I'll ask you that first, and then I got a follow up to that.
God, I'm such an idiot. Feel free to jump in and disagree if you want. I'm such an idiot because I should have an easy, ready-made answer for that. But the problem is, like when people ask me a question, as you just did, I try to be accurate and honest. So I'm thinking, okay, like I just should be able to throw it. Okay, Dana White was my favorite guest ever. And even though that's not true, you can't really argue with it. But now I'm working my ass off to figure out who it was. Different people at different times, I would sometimes finish a show and I would think that guy was or that woman was like one of my favorite guests ever. And then, when you do a daily show, all of a sudden what you did yesterday becomes irrelevant and it's what you're going to do today. I always liked guests who felt were smarter than me. So think about that. I enjoyed the challenge of interviewing someone who I thought I can try to be at my best with them. A guy like Brian Burke, I always found to be really challenging. And for me, challenging is entertaining because I know that Brian Burke's probably smarter than me. And I know that he is going to want to scrap. And that's what I enjoyed the most. The idea that I could listen to what someone said, evaluate it, and if I didn't feel like they were being totally open, or if I felt like I needed to express disagreement, I could do it. And then they would come back at me, and I love sort of sparring. So that's the most fun that I had.
Can we do this? Can we talk about Rod's?
He wouldn't even remember it, I don't think. That was the low point of my life.
We've talked about it on this program. I know it's been brought up, and I think you're past it. Obviously, you're okay with it.
It was over a decade ago.
But it wasn't your finest moment. I think you'll say.
Well, what are we talking about here?
Go ahead.
What are we talking about here?
Oh, when I was on Off the Record in 2008 with you, but it was not memorable. And it was a thing where it's not an easy show, man. I was on there and you guys were talking about the NLCS, not my thing. And I had a rider book that was out, if you recall, which went on to be a bestseller. But the topics weren't my thing. Let's put it that. It was Craig Button, Scott Laughlin, and some music guy. I can't believe you don't remember.
I didn't say I didn't remember. So I didn't say I did remember. I got to be honest with you. My memory of that day was entrenched in my mind for many years, but now more than a decade later, it is starting to fade. So you thought to yourself afterwards, you weren't happy with your performance?
Pretty much everybody I know wasn't, but that's fine. I walked out with Craig Button out of the TSN compound, and I said, Craig, I bombed. And he's like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. You were just fine. But thanks for bringing that up, Darren, by the way. I don't know what to say.
It's part of the whole message. We can't get past it if we don't address it and we don't
I'm past it.
Well.
Anyway. When was that? You said 2008?
It was November 2008. And actually, when I had you on my recovery podcast, if you recall, you talked about your rock bottom was like a month later at the Grey Cup in Montreal. Actually, it was October 2008 I was on, and a month later, you were going through a tough time at Grey Cup in Montreal, if you recall.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because 2008 was, for me, the real bottom. I hope it's a real bottom, because, if I'm deeper than that in that hole, wouldn't be good. But November 24th, which would have been, somewhere around a month later, I was in Montreal at the Grey Cup, 4 a.m. in the morning, room 521, Marriott Hotel. Obviously, this is important to me because I recall all these details. And I understood at that point why people take their lives, because I was just so tired of being in so much pain for so long that I could understand why someone would say, I give up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I didn't expect to get into this or go down this road today, which is cool because it's good. Now people are rolling in on the Facebook comment with thoughts on that. But back to sports for a second, Michael, and it's the last thing that I'll ask you today. I'll let you get on with the first of your week off. TSN does such a great job with the Argos games and the CFL games. They are off to a winless start. How bad is that combination of the apathy versus the team's record right now? What's it going to take, do you think, to make the Argos relevant again? Because you've been at TSN long enough. You're a Southern Ontario guy. I got to think that you're a fan of them.
Well, actually, it's fascinating to me in that context. I mean, you would have no way of knowing this. But I was at one time as big an Argo fan as existed on the planet. I was brought up in a house where the Argos were the biggest thing. My grandfather was a season's ticket holder at Varsity Stadium in 1945. My dad was an insane Argo fan, and he brought me up as, and my brother, it was like a religious experience going to Argo games. And I mean, when you get older, obviously, you know, your intensity for something like that fades because you have other things in your life. But I have double blue in my blood. And I think the possible scenario exists right now in Toronto. And that is the team is bad and people don't care. If the team was bad and there was anger, hostility, and there was people, you know, saying, fire the coach, that's what you want when you're bad. You want people to really care. But right now, there's this terrible team and no one's talking about it. And that's really scary.
Yeah, the tough part is even when they won the Grey Cup in 2012 and even 2017, nobody cared. Winning isn't even the answer there. And it's like, if winning's not the answer, what is?
You know, people have debated that. And I'm always interested. So here's, I'll always say, well, what do you think I have to do? They give you an idea about their ideas, but there's nothing fresh. You know, they have to be marketed better. You hear that. You hear all kinds of things. And I think, you know, that's not going to work because everything that's predictable has been tried. And you need someone to say, you know what? This is what we have to do. And have people like me and you go, wow, really? And they go, yeah, I think this, like something new has to be tried. As you said, just putting a great product on the field is not going to do it. You know, certainly the Toronto Raptors did not help the Toronto Argos. The resurgence of the Maple Leafs 4 years ago when they got Austin Matthews did not help, obviously, the Toronto Argos. So they need something totally fresh, something totally new. And from what I can tell, from like Aaron Karolnik is the guy that produces a morning show First Up with me and Carlo. And he's a huge gambler, right? You know, like he loves, I don't mean he's a compulsive gambler, although that's possible, but he just loves the whole idea of wagering on a game. He loves the whole idea of playing in pools. He loves fantasy football and all of that. And I think that's where the Argos' hope would lie, in creating a game day environment that people feel like they can participate in more than just being the fan.
Yeah, I think you're definitely onto something. Well, Michael, this has been awesome. Thanks for the time. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I hope we can do it again down the line here.
Well, you know, I'm not free tomorrow, but after that, I'm free every day for the rest of the year.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
You want to do it tomorrow, don't you? That's classic. You're a classic man, right? The only day we can't do it is tomorrow. And you go, well, wait a second here. What's he doing tomorrow? I think I want it tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Have a great day, Michael. Michael Landsberg out in Toronto, TSN 1050, First Up. So there you go.
That's
Spending
cool.
Some of his day off with us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I should have thanked him for being the kind of guy that he is, but he's probably still watching. So thank you, Michael, for being the kind of guy that you are. And it's certainly lit up the Facebook comment string. Do we need to take a break, Clark? Yeah. He's telling me yes. Clark has pointed out on the teleprompter here that in Saskatchewan, people want to fire the coach even when they win, which is true if the games weren't entertaining enough.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.